Hello and welcome to your astrological vibrations for Monday, January 23rd, 2023 by Gaia Blooming. I'm Mimi and our energy mantra for today is I allow myself to notice what expands me and lights me up and what contracts me and shuts me down. And in noticing that, you are tuning in to vibrational energy. And today we are in an expansive day, but we're leading by like the end or into tomorrow, into Tuesday energy. We enter into our first revolution evolution of Sun in Aquarius. And so being aware of like, yes, this expands my soul and whew, this makes me want to curl up in a hole. Don't you love it when it rhymes? Being able to notice the difference between those two will support you in greater understanding of yourself and your vibrational resonance. So that being said, do you want to take a quick look at this week ahead? Very strong electrical energies going on this week. Mars, while it's been direct at this point for several days, it still is hanging out at that 8 degree, but it's going to finally start getting some momentum going. So if you haven't yet felt that, like, where is it, Mars? It's coming, okay? Uranus just went direct. That too can feed into these electrical vibes and can also feed into like the feeling of like sitting around waiting at a bus stop. Mercury is getting some motivation. So Mercury is like, hey, line your decisions up, practice that responsibility. Now we're going to have Venus this week finishing up in Aquarius and moving into Pisces on Thursday the 26th. And it's interesting, when I looked at that, there's a Rumi verse that popped into my head, and this isn't one that I really know that well, but I love it when a verse I don't actually know pops into my head, because then I know it's like not my brain for sure. It's just the universe sending things, and I love that. And it was, we've really realized we've fallen into a place where everything has become music. And that's the feeling of Venus and Pisces. I love actually accessing Rumi poems and Rumi cards and all that when it comes to Venus and Pisces specifically, because Venus, our planet of relationship, in Pisces, where we remember our oneness, nobody seems to be able to illustrate this with words better than Rumi does. And so when we realize we've fallen into a place where everything is music, we recognize that we are all the notes working together, sometimes harmoniously and sometimes a little less harmoniously, to create a symphony on this planet. And our individual work is to make sure that we are playing our note as loud, clear, and strong as we are called to in any given moment. Sometimes it's meant to be a little quieter. Sometimes it's meant to be a little bit louder. But keep this in mind with Venus moving into Pisces. How are you playing your music? How are you showing up in this world in your music? So I love that for this energy. But leading up to Venus in Pisces, which is going to be later in the day on Thursday, again, Venus finishing up in those final degrees of Aquarius is going to be spiking the electrical energies. We're also going to have a connection this week between Mercury and Uranus, which can also spike those energies. So definitely some electrical spikes for my nervous system sensitive peeps. For today, speaking of finishing up in Aquarius and moving into Pisces, we are going to have the moon finishing up in Aquarius, moving into Pisces at 9:36 a.m. Pacific time. Before it moves into Pisces, the moon in Aquarius, sorry for my phone in the background, I did not turn it off. I hope that is not distracting for you. Anyway, moon in Aquarius is connecting to Saturn and Venus in Aquarius. And so it's just lighting up the Aquarian lessons, tuning into vibrational energy, recognizing that we're in this together. And hopefully, I put a different picture on on the video for the sun moving into Aquarius, and it had such a low amount of views. I was like, maybe if I put something on it, maybe it'll get more views, because I've just watched my views go down lately and it's hard. So I was like, hey, maybe this will pick up some other interest. But to digress, to go back to that scope felt really pertinent to the energy of Aquarius. In Aquarius, we can get so stuck in our heads, and yet we remember, let's work together with our polarity sign of Leo to exercise the heart energy. In fact, when it comes into it, Aquarius, being that Leo rules their house of relationship, Aquarius can bring the love like nobody else can. And whether it's love for one or love for all, community, we're called into that love when it comes to Aquarius energy, to move beyond the head and into the heart. And so as the moon is lighting up, that Saturn and Venus energy coming out of conjunction is seeing where we can turn that heart light on into community, in our community. Where do we bring the vibe of what we love within our life? So if you love astrology, can you bring it to your community? If you love music, can you bring your music forward? Tuning into that energy and being willing to bring it forward, being willing to bring it as an offering is this calling. So turn that heart light on and bring it up. Moon moving into Pisces can stimulate the creative vibes, and it can also stimulate a little bit more introverted energy. Excuse me, I inhaled something weird. Incense. Not anything else weird. Incense. But moon into Pisces, feeling a little sensitive and feeling maybe even a little bit psychically under the weather is what I'm getting. Especially as the moon does square Mars energy later in the day. There's so much being picked up right now. To recognize that we are all antennas to varying degrees, picking up the astral energies, the energies of the planets, the energies of each other, who even knows what else. And this can get so intense, and if we do not take the time for ourselves to clear and reset, we can feel really overwhelmed. And I'm getting that may start coming up later in the day. Watch for that feeling of being overwhelmed, and if you are feeling that, take the time you need to clear yourself. Give yourself some silence. Give yourself some space for that energy. And then again, see where you can keep daydreaming the beauty into the reality, the beauty that you know is possible in yourself, in the planet. Tune into that and daydream that into reality. So I've got some very strong King energy. We've got the King of Wands and the King of Pentacles, speaking of dreaming energy into reality. And this is a reminder to stay in balance as these creative energies want to come through you. I also have the Rebel, which is the Emperor card, but it is in reverse. And this to me is speaking of how there's still places where we're holding ourselves back, where we haven't broken through these chains so that we can fully bring forth our future ideas and ideals. The Silence card, the Star card. And yet the process that we're in where we're not fully ready to bring it through is part of the process. So keep that in mind. You don't have to get there yet, but be aware where you can feel that you're still holding back, because that will be part of the ongoing Aquarian lessons coming in for us this year. So definitely some beautiful energies to support this astro. So besides this, you can book a reading with me. Email me, mimiclark@gmail.com. And the better it gets, the better it gets. There's more than enough love in the world for you. You have the power, and honor your values. Namaste.